Okay. Colleagues, please make sure that you've logged into the special meeting for tonight. And it is officially 5:00 p.m. Today is Thursday, November 7th. Welcome to our special meeting, which will take place immediately before the Committee of the Whole. The invocation will be led by School Board Member Mike Goday, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by School Board Member Shoshone Stewart. Let us stand.
Dear God, Lord of wisdom, we pray that you bless this meeting. Help us have fun, yet productive discussions that will broaden our perspective. Help us to take the various ideas presented and think of ways to flesh them out. If we do disagree, let it be on the content and not personality or power. Help us to resolve any disputes gracefully, be creative problem solvers, and have great team spirit. Help us find the principles that we all can agree on and put these into action for the benefits of our students, our staff, and our community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our special meeting is now called to order. We will now have a roll call.
District 3, President Powell Lewis.
Present.
District 9, Vice President Martin.
Present.
District 1, Mr. Blue. District 2, Mr. Lannis. District 4, Ms. Stewart.
Present.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Present.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Present.
District 7, Mr. Goday.
Here.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And before we proceed, I just wanted to share, School Board Member Ballou is out of town at this time. We hope that he has safe travels. Mr. Lannis is on his way. We hope that he has safe travels. And you all, I just want to ask for I want to ask for your consideration now at this point, and please excuse me as I will have to leave early today. I'm being a parent tonight, y'all, so I have to go and escort my son for a senior night at Scotlandville High School. So that's where I'll be. I'll be leaving at about 5:30. But I just wanted to go ahead and share and ask for your pleasures at this time. Thank you. Okay. All right, so of course, with this special meeting, we only have one item, and we are now at the place where we are using our new policy as far as our board meetings are concerned. And so we're now to item B1, items for consideration, resolution, ITEP, consideration of a request for the approval of a resolution to appoint an ITEP committee representative. All right, so are there any comments from the public at this time?
We have one internet comment.
Okay, one internet comment. Mr. Martin.
All right, Storm Matthews writes, hello all, I am walking William during senior night tonight, so you guys get to hear my glorious comments through Patrick. I'm sure he will read them with flair. As Finney and I battle for the most vocal constituent of District 4, I recommend my board member Representative Shoshone Stewart be selected to serve on the ITEP ad hoc committee. As the recommendation says may, I would like to remind you that may is lesser than shall. If you choose to ignore this, go with Cole, as we do not know who the president will be in January.
Okay, thank you so much. So before we proceed forward, Mr. Shamlin, do we have the opportunity, and I should have entered the queue, you all, I do apologize. We're now to board comments. Do we have the opportunity to select another member of the board other than board leadership to serve?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, per the rules on local ITEP committees, the board is to select either the superintendent or the board president.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. All right. Mr. Martin.
So I've thought significantly about this. I've read the governor's executive order. I think that from my perspective, I think that we should name the president, whoever the president may be at any given time, to be the board's representative on there. It's really the responsibility of the president not to, in this action, in this role, not to particularly vote their individual thinking or thoughts on the ITEP, but to, as the role of the president, consult with their colleagues informally and then make a decision on a particular ITEP item. And I think that's really a role that's most appropriately performed by the president rather than the superintendent, who is our staff and really needs to be focused on running the administrative day-to-day of the district.
Thank you. Mr. Russ.
Thank you. I agree, concur with Mr. Martin, particularly in the selection of the board president. While that may, look, we don't know who the president will be this year, the next year, 10 years from now. I think that putting a superintendent in that position to have to make those kinds of decisions, especially in this parish where those decisions can often be very contentious, very political in nature, and I would prefer that we shield our superintendent from having to make decisions that are going to be influenced by board members, putting them in a position where, board members may or may not choose to apply pressure or voice their opinions on those things, which they'll be entitled to, but the superintendent should be tasked with running the school system, not making decisions about tax credits. I think that is very appropriate for the board to do so, and they've changed how we go about doing that. We don't really get to influence that, and so I think the best decision is to allow the president to handle that choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gore. Okay, thank you. Seeing no further board comment at this time. Okay. Mr. Lewis.
I'd just like to go on record saying that I think the superintendent is the best person for it, because regardless of how we feel, we really don't have any say-so over ITEP any longer. We really don't. I mean, to me, this whole deal is just a formality, because the governor and his people are going to do what they want to do with the ITEP. Our freedom of choice is going away. The superintendent works for us. Let him go, come back, talk to us as his bosses, and then we decide. Not that it's going to make any difference, really. And I'm just being honest. It's not going to make a hill of beans. What we decide to do about ITEP, it's not going to matter what we do, what the Metro Council does, what the Sheriff Department does. The freedom of choice as far as ITEP is going back the way it used to be. That's my own personal opinion.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no further board comment, I realize, Mr. Shamlin, that I did not do this in the correct order, because it should have been public comment, a motion, then board comment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I do apologize, you all. So what needs to happen at this point, we will go to a motion. Do we need to have another round of board comment, or?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
If you haven't allowed public comment yet, I would allow public comment on the item. We did.
We had
You
public
did. So
comment.
then you're fine, yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, so Mr. Gode, are you making a motion, or are you?
I'll do both.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted a couple of things. One, there is another comment that came in online, our favorite commenter. But Mr. Shamlin, do I have to read the entire motion, or the resolution that's in here, or just say I move we adopt the resolution?
Yes, you can say the second. I move to adopt the resolution naming.
I move to adopt the resolution naming the school board president as our representative with a term through January of 2025, because there's a term at the bottom of that resolution.
Yes, and so per my memo, you can name a specific term or leave that term open and then bring this item back whenever you so choose to reconsider it. But if you're naming a term, it would end at that time.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is we're going to have a leadership election coming in January.
Yes.
So we're going to have to redo this.
Yeah.
So that is my motion.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Gode. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Ms. Sule. Okay, and I believe now we will have a vote, or
Yeah, I
there's a
would still
public
like to
comment?
comment. Because
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, even though it's out of time, it did, from the timestamp it came in, I should have refreshed so I could read it. James Finney says, please take note that it is not clear what the recommended action is, so the placement of public comment ahead of any board discussion seems purely symbolic, which several of us mentioned as a possible outcome of the recently revised comment policy. It might not be such a big deal if this item was going through the usual process of a committee of the whole discussion being followed by final adoption at a later meeting. Beware of slippery slopes.
Now I would like to comment.
Okay.
I passed on the first time because I agree with Mr. Martin. I do think that if you look at every other member on that committee that's for the parish, they're all elected members because it is the parish president or the mayor, president of the school board, or is it the sheriff, which is elected, and the mayor, which is elected. So all of these are elected officials, and I think we ought to keep it at being elected officials. And whether or not the committee has any power or effect, you know, it is what it is, and we got to be there. And I don't want to burden our superintendent that takes 1 minute of his time away from focusing on getting our students' performance better. And to put him on a thing where we say and he's going to be wasting his time is even more problematic to me. So if we really think it's a waste of time, let's don't mess up our superintendent with it. Let's keep it with the board president, because our board presidents have nothing better to do. I know that. But I just really think we ought to keep this in the political arena, because that's what it really is. And let's keep our superintendent focused on moving our students forward. Thank you.
Okay, point of clarification. If we have a vote that is not a roll call vote, Mr. Shamlin, and let's say that we don't have, that this motion fails, then what do we do?
Then I would suggest a motion to defer the matter to the regular meeting for further consideration to avoid any policy issues around not being able to bring it back.
Okay, and let me ask you this. I know that we are operating in a time-sensitive type of situation. If you will share, for the sake of the public, what is the time sensitivity in regards to this?
Yeah, the ITEP committee is supposed to convene potentially in the next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. I think they're trying to determine what those dates will look like. I know they reached out to Ms. Powell, and so we would like to make a selection tonight if possible.
Okay. Okay. So now, I guess with the motion that's on the floor, we need to do the electronic vote, or should we do a roll call vote?
Well, if you're not certain if you have the votes to pass the item, a roll call vote might be preferable. I would leave it up to the chair, and Mr. Gode would have to withdraw his motion if he wants to do that. But right now, the motion on the floor
Okay.
is on the floor, so we'd have to consider it before moving on.
Okay, all right, well, let us proceed. And are you still in the queue?
Well, yeah, I wanted to consider a substitute motion to defer, but after you made the comment saying that we needed to make a decision tonight, but if it doesn't pass, then we still won't have a decision. So that's why I chose to kind of pull back.
And to specify, when I say roll call vote, I mean each person going round robin,
Right.
selecting the name of the person they want to determine who gets the appointment.
Okay. Considering no further board comment, no questions, we will now entertain a vote. And the motion is to allow board leadership or the board president to serve as a member of the ITEP committee
Through January 2025.
through January 2025. Gotcha.
Ms. Powell Lewis, who was the second on that motion? thank you. Please vote. We may have to do a roll call vote because it's not even giving me the option to go into the system. Can we do a roll call vote?
Yes, okay, so we will now have a roll call vote on the motion that is on the floor, which is,
Hold on, it may be
Okay.
because of this. Now it's working.
okay, thank you.
Please vote. The motion carries.
Thank you. All right, so this is the end of our first meeting. Mr. Gode, do you want to adjourn our meeting at this point?
I move we adjourn.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we will be starting the next meeting in 5 minutes?
Sure.
Or do we want to just continue?
I think let's just continue.
Okay, all right. Everybody's saying let's just continue. Mr. Martin.
Let it roll.
Thank you very much. Call to order the Committee of the Whole. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Y'all please swap to the other meeting.
Sign in to the new meeting, everyone.
District 3, President Powell Lewis.
Present.
District 9, Vice President Martin.
Present.
District 1, Mr. Blue. District 2, Mr. Lannis. District 4, Ms. Stewart.
Present.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Still here.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Present.
District 7, Mr. Gode.
Here.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Excellent, thank you very much. First on the agenda, as my agenda comes up here. All right, we've already had the call to order the roll call. All right, is there a presentation, Deputy Superintendent Smith, from a school for item B?
Yes, we have here Principal of Glen Oaks Elementary Park, Bernard Williams. He'll come with his AP to give a brief presentation on his school performance over the past, it's been there 18 years? Almost. Go ahead, Mr. Williams.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Board. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I am Bernard Williams, and I am the principal at Glen Oaks Park Elementary. This is my assistant principal, Ms. Jamie Johnson. I want to start off by saying that we have 418 students at our site. 97% of them is African American, 1% is Hispanic, and 1% is Caucasian. The mission and vision statement was written by teachers, and there's several things in that mission and vision statement I would like to highlight. You can go to our website if you want to see it. It says empowering, perseverance, and teamwork. Those are some of the tenements that we lean on as a school throughout our journey up into this day. Every Friday, everybody in the school, including staff and students, repeats this one catchphrase: success is our only option. And for every setback, there's a comeback. In 2013, the gifted program was removed from Glen Oaks Park Elementary. 125 new students entered the building from rezoning by the district. Teachers transferred, the principal retired, and the school SPS took a hit through all the changes. The new principal, yours truly, hired 19 brand new teachers with no experience, rookie mistake. But he invested in Chromebooks and active boards, and he had a plan. In 2014, it didn't yield any success. 2015, the school made some adjustments to that plan. We added small group teaching to the equation, and the results were the school grew 15 SPS points that year. The following year, in 2016, since we had the blueprint, we came to school 2 weeks early. We in-serviced all the teachers. We had orientation for all our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. We had the blueprint for success. And what happened was the 2016 flood setback. We ended up being relocated to Banks Elementary. It was a dirty, dusty, moldy, filthy place. It was horrible. And 23 of the people that worked at Glen Oaks Park lost their houses, their cars, their clothes. They lost everything. But yet, they came to work every day. It was so old and dilapidated that they had chalkboards in the building. And I realized I had such a young staff when one teacher came to me and asked me, where is the switch to turn this thing on? And I told her, I said, look, it's called a chalkboard, and you use it with chalk and an eraser, and you clap them together to clean them out. She left kind of disappointed and went down the hall and had a huddle with some of her other members, and I figured they was going to probably mutiny on me or something, but they came back, and they asked me, can you afford to buy chalk? I said, yeah. She said, we're going to out-teach everybody in the district. Give me the chalk. So that day, we developed a slogan called All Hands on Deck. And we persevered that year, and we only failed 1 SPS points. And if you look at everybody else, they failed double digits. So we felt pretty good coming out. 2017, we moved back to our building. We had PTSD. We struggled. We didn't have any technology. We didn't have anything because the flood wiped out everything. We didn't even get to save a pencil. We struggled to get what we needed when we came back. By the time we got our footing, COVID, 2020, another setback. We didn't have the stuff that we needed, and then COVID pushed us out after we got our bearings, and then in 2020, it attacked the world. But the training we did in 2013 served us well because we was prepared to teach virtually, because we introduced Chromebooks and virtual teaching in 2013. So we was ready to go when the district passed out Chromebooks. In 2023, the school made a rebound. We grew 8 SPS points, and we got out of subgroup failure. It was a comeback. What are some of the factors that helped? We piloted dibbles with pre-K. Before anybody else started, we had our pre-K kids using dibbles. We piloted the Chromebooks. We started in 2013. I think the district was sometime later. We also used a hybrid model of teaching. Those things gave us an advantage over the other schools in the district because we was not afraid to step out. We also piloted Saturday school. We had 10 teachers that volunteered to come Saturday morning, and we had 90 kids that showed up. 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade kids show up on Saturday morning from 8 to 12, and it made a huge impact on our SPS. The implementing of small group teaching really was the payoff. We have PBIS is led by students, not teachers, but students. We have a student advisory committee. They talk to me every Friday and give me insight on what they want for their school. We also have about 25 kids that we call Panther Patrol. They wear a little orange vest. They work for me. They got duties. They do the morning announcements. They put up the flag. They run the school. They watch the bathroom. And adding 25 extra set of eyes to the process makes it easy for me. And just last week, Monday, Ms. Edwards was in my office doing something for Superintendent Cole. And by the time she came to me, one of the Panther Patrol said, "There's got a strange woman in your office you need to go see." So having kids empowerment really helps. As we kept doing things, the STEM challenge happened with the district. We've wanted a place ever since the inception of that challenge brought on by the district. We created a book club where our 5th grade kids get to read to the lower grades. What impact did it have? The ELA scores in 5th grade rose to 86% proficient by having those kids reading to other kids in the school. Those are the impacts. We also have a French class, and other schools have French immersion. We have a French class. It's a big difference. We had 23 kids to pass the DELF test, and that's the test that Baton Rouge Flame take and Baton Rouge High. We got 23 kids that passed that test. We also have an agriculture club. We have a cheerleading team. We have a choir. They've been asking every day when they can come down and entertain the central office. They've been coming for the last 15 years. We also are the 3-time reigning basketball champs. Every trophy the district has sent out, we own it. And last Saturday, we are the 2-time undefeated district football champs in flag football. In 2024, we had the highest growth to mastery in everybody in the district. We own that. We also pride ourselves on excellent customer service. That's one of the things that we do not accept, besides treating every parent like they're the only parent in the building. We go out our way for every parent. We also have a low teacher turnover. Why? Because we always encourage our teachers to stay, to work, and you can get promoted in the building. We have paras that have moved from paras to teachers. We have 9 of those people now in the building serving as teachers. One of them was deemed highly effective by the state of Louisiana for his VAM scores. So having teachers empowerment and encouraging them to stay and working through and building. We have teachers that have started off as teachers, went to coaches, and then they're assistant principals. And that journey took about 10 years. So having these things in place and making sure that we do the things that we're supposed to do every day for students and for parents and for teachers. For parents, what do I do for those? I tell them that as the school gets better, your property value goes up because everybody wants to be located next to a school. So if your house is worth $60,000, we go up to a B, that same house may be worth $75,000. So investing in the school is a big bang for you. So that's the message we send to them every day. So with that said, Glen Oaks Park is located in the north. Our executive director is Mr. Demetrius Alexander, and we have a lot of pride in what we do every day because success is our only option.
May I make a comment?
Thank you. Please, Deputy Superintendent Smith.
Mr. Williams was a little modest. I went back and kind of researched his journey over the past 3 years. Mr. Williams has grown his growth to mastery over 18 points. I'm not talking about his overall SBS scores. I'm talking about students taking the LEAP test. He's increased the proficiency from 18% over the past 3 years. And actually last year, the increase in mastery grew 9%.
Thank you. I wanted to interview you very briefly. Principal Williams, I remember going to visit your school. It was one of the first schools I really went to visit after I came on the board. Certainly one of the first ones outside of my own district, and I was tremendously impressed both with your school and with your leadership and the leadership of the team that you put together. I was there on a very trying day for your faculty and your employees and your students, and I was tremendously impressed with the work that you do. So I just want to personally say thank you very much for the work that you've done for the children that attend your school. It's, I wish we had, 50 more of you. So thank you very much for the work that you and your assistant principal and your entire team do for our students every single day. We're grateful.
I would hate to say this, the only unfortunate thing is that Mr. Williams is retiring at the end of the year.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Rust.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I just wanted to say thank you for allowing this school to come and tell us about the success that they're having. Thank you for your leadership in your community and for what you're doing to change kids' lives. You know, ensuring that they come out of elementary school highly literate is a huge deal. And thank you for proving that, that school leadership can make a difference, that school culture can make a difference. I hope that all of our staff can just pick everything from your brain before you retire, and that you have been able to pass that down to all your staff and in your school so they can continue the great work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russ. Ms. Sule.
Yes, similar to what everyone said, thank you so much and job well done. It was wonderful to get to see what's happened over the years at your school, and I hope I get to come visit very soon.
Thank you, Ms. Sule. Coach Lewis.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate very much what you're doing.
That was the most succinct I've ever heard Coach Lewis be. I think that marks a tremendous respect he must have for you, Mr. Williams. Okay, seeing nobody else in the queue, we will move on to item C1, the fiscal transparency report. There's no discussion on that. We just call everybody's attention that we regularly publish this information for transparency to the public to see who, and the board members to see who we are contracting with. Moving on, we will move on to item D1, Oversight Committee Financial Update. As there's a presentation from someone.
No,
Nope.
sir, no presentation.
Okay.
We will
There's-
answer any questions.
Okay, there's no vote we need to take, Mr. Shamlin? Do we need
Yes,
to?
there's a vote to approve and accept that report.
Okay, before we take that, let us turn to public comments. Are there any public comments on the Oversight Committee financial update? All right, there is one internet comment, which I'll read. Storm Matthews writes, I'm going to keep making this plea that the Broadmoor Middle money be taken and be demolished, and the rest split evenly in 2028 between Sherwood, Middle, and Terra, both of whom are in the tax plan in 2028 for only $5 million and have never received anything other than cosmetic touch-ups. They have never had any construction or anything fixed. They absolutely haven't had a brand new building. That part of it was ruined, and are getting $200,000 in repairs for sports. No, Terrace track is simply condemned, and they can't use it for years, and no one cares because they don't have loud parents. After Broadmoor is demolished, we can take it back to the taxpayers to see what they want to do with the property. Selling the land to Breck is a wonderful gesture, making us money and bringing value to the neighborhood as well as strengthening our partnership. All right. There are no more public comments on that item. Is there a motion? Mr. Rust?
Yes, I move to approve the tax plan update.
All right, is there a second? It's been moved by Mr. Rust and seconded by Ms. Stewart to accept the tax plan update. Is there any further discussion from members of the board? All right, Madam Secretary, let's vote.
Please vote. The motion carries.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item D2, Professional Services Contract, Youth Educational Service, Inc. Is there any presentation on this item, Deputy Superintendent Smith?
No presentation, but we will answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, thank you. Are there any public comments on this item? All right, there are no internet-based comments on this item, so I'll ask for a motion. Is there a motion on item D2? Ms. Stewart has moved to approve the item. This is the Title I contract for ACT services at instruction at Broadmoor.
Okay, yeah, this is here.
All right, so it's been moved by Ms. Stewart. Is there a second? Second by Coach Lewis? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Armand. All right, it's been moved by Ms. Stewart and seconded by Mr. Lewis to approve the contract with Youth Educational Services. Is there any further discussion from the board? All right, Ms. Sule, you want in the queue too, Coach?
I'm trying to get in there.
All right, let's let Ms. Sule go, and then you can go.
April got these weak glasses.
All right, Ms. Sule.
Is anyone from Youth Educational Services here this evening? Oh, great. Hi, come on up. Hi. I was hoping you could just tell us a little bit about what the last year looked like at Broadmoor and what y'all are already doing this year at the school.
Yes. Hi, my name is Jasmine Watson, and I'm representing Youth Educational Services. And I was just thinking as I was sitting there that I worked in East Baton Rouge Parish since 2007. So I've had the pleasure of serving students in this district for a long time. And then we started Youth Educational Services to address a need of just extending the school day for students throughout the district. So I have had the pleasure of working with students across the district for over 10 years now. We've had a contract with the Department of Education. We provide SCA services in the form of ACT and work key support to various schools. And then we also have a 21st century program where we're extending the school day across different schools in East Baton Rouge Parish. So I just wanted to thank you guys for the opportunity to speak here and share how proud we are of the work that we've been doing. And we're looking forward to continuing the work. I do have Mr. Wells here with me, who's the the principal at Broadmoor. And we're just really excited about the partnership. I can't say enough. I wish I had a presentation to mirror what we just saw about Glen Oaks Park Elementary to share about some of the phenomenal work that he's done at Broadmoor High School in the time that I've had to work with him. So we have partnered with him to really change the conversation with the students at Broadmoor High School around standardized tests. So although we are working specifically with ACT and work keys, the students do come to us and they look for the same kind of support around LEAP and things like that. And so the work that we've been doing there with the students has just been phenomenal. So we do have an ACT prep class where we are working specifically with juniors and seniors to try to increase their performance on those test scores, because we know that the better they do on that, it opens doors for them in their future. We've expanded our services to support work keys, and we're proud that we have a very robust program at the school where we are starting to introduce younger students as early as 9th grade to the skills and practices that they need to be successful on both ACT and work keys. The students are vying for opportunities to join our class and to participate in our programs because we do a really good job, I think, of publicizing how the students are performing at the beginning of the school year, and then we kind of advertise what their progress looks like. And so they're watching their classmates improve on the work keys assessment. They're watching their classmates improve on the ACT, and they want to be a part of that. So we're really excited, like I said, that we're changing the conversation, changing the stigma around those assessments, letting those students experience the success and opening doors for them. And I think Mr. Webb has some information that he'd like to share. Oh, I said Wells the first time.
That's the other
I'm
guy.
sorry.
That's the other guy. Good afternoon, President Carla Powell, Vice President Patrick Martin, Deputy Superintendent Adam Smith, and after listening to that fervent prayer from Mr. Goder, I almost want to say, in pulpit guest. So I'm Mr. Wells. I'm the principal at Broadmoor Senior High School. This is my 4th year. So when I arrived there in 2020, just after COVID, one of the areas that we needed to focus on was our ACT index. So at that time, coming off of COVID, the ACT index was a 24.6. That's 2021. Then it dipped by 2 points for 21-22. But this is our first year actually going into a contract and using Yes Academy to support our ACT and ACT work keys. So during the 22-23 school year, we had a 5-point growth. So that was phenomenal. And again, it's about changing the conversation and getting parents and the students to focus on the importance of those assessments, because what we were finding out is that many students wanted to go to college, or they had in their mindset, I'm going to college, but didn't understand the requirements, what you needed to get to college. So we started focusing on that. So over the course of those years, from 2021 up until last year, we reduced the number of unqualifying scores from 126 to 76. So with ACT Work Keys, they have been, with Yes Academy, they have done a phenomenal job in supporting the school, and it's not just a contract. They have become a community partner with us. They do professional development for our teachers before school, so they train our teachers in those different areas, how to prepare students for ACT. They also do the workshop for Work Keys. So as a result, this year we're expecting to grow another 4 points from the 27.6 to 30.6. So with some of the students that they worked with last year as juniors, they're back this year as seniors. So we just did our first round of Work Keys testing. We have 60 students that have already qualified, that have qualifying scores on Work Keys. That's a silver or above. Also, something else, we're talking about changing the conversation with our parents and students. This year, through the use of the waivers for ACT, we have 129 of our 180 seniors already registered for the December ACT test. And that's before we get into the spring test. So we're going to test. The goal is to actually have them all registered. We meet our kids at the ACT testing sites. I'm at a site. She has a site, and Ms. Reed has a site. So the conversation is changing, and we are experiencing steady growth. It's small growth, but it is growth because at the end of the day, what we're doing is creating more access to opportunities for our students. So this has been a wonderful partnership. Going back to the 2 years where we had double-digit vacancies, had it not been for Yes Academy showing up, taking some of those math classes and supporting us, this substantial, the 7 points growth in our SPS over the last 3 years, it was because of the teachers in the building and them picking up some of that slack for us. So, thank you.
All right, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Wells and Ms. Reed. I visited Broadmoor twice and actually visited Ms. Reed's class twice. I was there last week, and it was full throttle engagement. Kids were, they were talking back and forth. I mean, you can feel the difference in Broadmoor when you go in there. My first visit, Mr. Wells and I sit there in the hall and talk for about an hour. What they're doing, and we all know standardized testing, but it's just kind of what we have to live with. But they are doing a phenomenal job at preparing those kids. And these kids at Broadmoor, if you don't mind me saying, these kids at Broadmoor don't have the luxury to take part in some of the other ACT preparations or things that go on around the city, because when they go home, they're home. And I know for a fact Mr. Wells tried to provide after-school transportation, and they wouldn't stay. So he has a captive audience every day. And if you guys want to see some real interactive teaching, go visit Ms. Reed's class. There's a lot of one-on-one, and you guys are doing a great job. And thank you, too, for everything that you guys are doing.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rust.
Thank you. It sounds like you guys have a great partnership going. I depend on all of our subject matter experts to qualify that this is a great fit for your school. Sounds like it is. I had some questions around just the brass tacks of what the contract entails. It's not immediately clear. It kind of details what services will be performed, but it doesn't detail how it's quantified. So it's saying we're going to do these things for this school for this amount of money. What I would want to see and hope for is, hey, we're going to receive X amount of instructional hours or a certain number of blocks within this time period or serve this many students. I really would want to see something quantified, what the school is receiving for their money. I would also hope that, as we've talked about many times, especially if we're thinking about student outcomes, how are we going to measure the success of this contract? So I would hope to see in the contract that, hey, this is our goal, or this is what we're going to use to measure the performance of these services. We see a certain number of increase in average ACT scores with the students we work with, XYZ. It seems like they're talking about a lot of those things. I would like to see some of that quantified in the contract, at least what we're going to use to measure, was this successful? If we see those two things, I'd be happy to approve this. My suggestion would be refer this without recommendation to the regular meeting, so that hopefully administration can go build those things in so we know what we're paying for. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Stewart, you were in the queue.
Yes, I don't want to repeat what everything Coach said, but I wanted to just thank Mr. Wells for the opportunity when I came over, for the tour and for the PowerPoint presentation about a lot of things that's going over at Broadmoor. And based off of what he said about their schools, I think he's doing an excellent job in formulating the strategies and the resources that he does have to do what's best for the students at Broadmoor. So thank you, Mr. Wells.
Thank you. Seeing no others in the queue, Deputy Superintendent Smith, do you think you could, get us more information and perhaps recommend some enhancements to the contract before we come back in 2 weeks?
Sure, it's not an issue. We can go in and look at the contract and put exactly the scope of work in the contract and how we determine success. That's not a problem.
I don't think in light of that, Mr. Russ, I would suggest that we don't need to formally refer without recommendation. I think we can let the motion stand as it is, and if we can always pull it off of the consent agenda and debate it separately if the changes aren't made.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm okay with that.
All right. Thank you. Coach, we only talk one time now.
I'll just sit here and be quiet.
No, all right.
We give away millions of dollars, millions.
Yeah.
Millions.
All right.
And we got questions about 100,000?
I don't.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, thank you. All right. Madam Secretary, let's vote.
Please vote.
Yeah, the motion was to approve.
I hit the wrong button.
Okay. There's a change vote thing in red on the top right of the screen.
But it didn't, I don't see it, so that's why I said.
Oh. Yeah, let's remove everybody and revote.
Yeah.
Please vote. Is it not popping up for some of y'all?
Yeah, I had a refresh as well. Do we just need to do a roll call vote?
District 4, Ms. Stewart.
Yay.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Yay.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Yay.
District 7, Mr. Gode.
Yay.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Yay.
District 9, Vice President Morton.
Yay.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving to the next item, item D3, consideration of a request for the approval of the following amended school board policies and related matters. Sub A, BBC, school board member, continuing education. Sub B, EFA, internet safety and network use. Sub C, GBA, contracts and compensation. Sub D, GBRIB, sick leave. Sub E, GBRIBB, sick leave bank. Sub F, JDA, corporal punishment. Sub G, JGC, student health services. Sub H, JCB, immunizations. Sub I, JGCD, administration medication. Sub J, JGCDA, naloxone. All right, we will turn to public comment. Are there any comments from members of the public? Any cards from anybody? All right, there's one internet comment, once again from Storm Matthews. How many hours are currently in the general sick leave bank? This is crazy when we don't really have much in there. I understand this is state law and we don't really have a choice, but this would have been a really great opportunity to have still brought the policy Nicola Hall and I were working on forward. Yes, apparently HE hockey sticks has in fact frozen over. On another note, these are clearly not germane to each other, therefore should not be one item. Look at you agreeing with me, Patrick. Haha, you see what I did there. Thank you, Ms. Matthews. One of these days, I'm going to get one of y'all to start reading these comments. All right. That is it for public comment. We will turn to Mr. Rust. Do you have a motion?
Yeah, thank you. I have some questions, concerns about B, EFA, internet safety and network use. I was trying to do a little research and trying to understand what some of the changes were, and I just really didn't get time to ask prior to today. So what I would like to do is move to bifurcate the item, remove number B, item B, there we go, EFA, internet safety and network use, so that I can refer that one without recommendation to the regular board meeting.
Okay, that's the motion to bifurcate the item and remove alphabet B on internet safety and network usage. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Stewart. All right, is there any further discussion from the board on the motion to bifurcate the item? No. All right, and so we vote separately on bifurcate, and then we'll vote for each individual item, or each, yeah,
Yes,
all right,
sir.
the remaining items. Okay, good. Then let us vote on the motion to bifurcate.
Please vote. The motion carries.
Thank you very much. All right. Is it at my discretion which item we take those orders, which order we take those items up in?
Yes, sir, it's your discretion.
Okay. Then let's go ahead and take up the internet safety and network use item first. Is there a motion on the internet safety, Mr. Russ?
Yeah, I'll move to send the item to the for regular board meeting without recommendation. Is that
Okay.
right?
And that's seconded by Ms. Stewart. All right. Is there any further discussion from the board on sending the internet policy, safety policy to the full board without recommendation? All right. Seeing none, Madam Secretary, let's vote.
Mr. Martin, you did have public comment, correct?
Yes, we already had public comment. There was one internet comment from Ms. Matthews, and that was it. Ms. Stewart.
Please vote. The motion carries.
Thank you. We'll now take up the remainder of item D3, all the other policies except internet safety and network use. Is there a motion on that? Ms. Stewart moves to approve those policies, seconded by Mr. Rust. All right, is there further board discussion on the rest of the policies? We've already had comment on the entire item, public comment rather. All right, so seeing no comments from the board, let us vote the rest of the items, ma'am.
Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item D4, litigation. Consideration of a request for the approval of the recommendation from Gwen Shamlin, General Counsel, EBR, PSB, in the matter of Leonard Briscoe and Danielle Briscoe, individually and on behalf of their minor child versus East Baton Rouge School Board, docket number 718214, Section 26, 19th Judicial District Court, Parish of East Baton Rouge, State of Louisiana, and to provide for related matters. Is there any public comment on this item? There are no internet comments on this item. Seeing no public comments, we will turn to comments from the board. Is there a motion? Ms. Stewart moves in favor of the item, seconded by Mr. Goday. We'll let him have that one tonight. All right. Any comments, discussion from the board? All right, Madam Secretary, let's vote.
Please vote. The motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes the D items for consideration. We'll now move forward to item E1, proximity learning and substitute utilization updates. I had asked Superintendent Cole after we approved the proximity learning contract. I didn't have concerns about that contract in particular, but I did want to learn more and have the board learn more about how we handle substitutes generally, particularly given the issues that we had with substitutes last year. And so I've asked for a presentation. So Deputy Superintendent Smith, will you introduce the presentation?
Yes, good evening. Vice President Martin, members of the board, Mr. Smith, good evening. Today I'm going to give you a brief update of how we're utilizing subs in the district this year and an update on proximity. So in this brief presentation, I will give you, we will review the substitute compensation, substitute utilization for the 24-25 school year, and proximity learning utilization and their services. So starting off, next slide, thanks to this board, you can see that the substitute pay rate was increased this year. So now for non-degreed subs, we're paying $90 an hour. A day, excuse me. We'd have more subs than we needed if we were paying that much money. For degreed subs, $125 per day. Certified teachers, $150 per day. Long-term degreed non-certified, $150 per day. And then long-term certified, $175 per day. So this makes a difference as we look to recruit subs for our district. Next slide. So how are we utilizing our subs this year? We have our day-by-day subs. We have our site-based subs. So each site has been assigned at least one site-based sub. We have a total of, as of today, we have 372 subs in the system. The number of subs that have been hired as full-time employees, 27. So we had 399 subs. But some of the principals have actually poached some of our subs and hired them on as teachers and as paraprofessionals. So how do we determine the site-based subs for each school? We actually utilized the data from last year in absence management, looking at the average number of teachers missing 10 or more days. And that's how we assign the site-based subs. Long-term substitutes, we're not utilizing them for vacancies, but for employees that are actually on FMLA.
So, Ms. Williams, can you
Yes.
note those 79 site-based subs, they're reporting to campuses every day, regardless if there's a sub needed. They're just there.
They're there every day, and the principal can utilize them in whatever capacity, but more than likely, they will have somebody out every day, so they can utilize them. Any questions about the utilization of substitutes?
What about how do we handle when we have a long-term absence, a teacher out on maternity leave or some sort of extended sick leave or
That
something like
would
that?
be a long-term sub.
Okay.
So we could put someone in that position. And I'd also like to say that we have hired retirees. We have about 25 retirees that are working with us. 9 of them have income limitations where they can only make so much, but the remaining retirees, they can work without limitations.
Okay, and that's because they're receiving some kind of retirement
Correct.
benefits?
Correct.
Right now, are those limits based on how many hours they work during the year or how many hours they work on any given week?
Well, the limitations are based upon their last 3 years of working their income. So the 25% of their last 3 highest years. So they
but-
actually give it, TRSL will actually tell them how much
Okay.
they can make.
So it's how much they can, so that's how much they can earn over the course of the year? It's not
Yes.
how much they can,
No.
like, they could work 40 hours a week and that'd be fine.
Yes.
They just couldn't do that for very many weeks?
Correct. That would be their final average compensation, their FAC.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Goday?
Yes, thank you. Looking at the utilization number, and I know this is probably an estimate, but what is the fill rate? Like, how many times do we have substitutes that we just can't provide a substitute for?
Well, our fill rate is currently 52%. Last year, this time with ESS, it was 55. So we're not far off from where it was last year.
But we haven't made a big step change improvement and all that, because everyone was talking about how horrible and I'm just trying to get the discussion out here. Everyone was
But I
talking
will tell
about.
you this, Mr. Goday, they had 577 subs at this time last year. We have less than that, and we're close to where they were as far as the fill rate.
Right, but I'm more concerned, and look, this is just discussion.
Yes.
I'm more concerned about fill rate.
Yes.
Because I don't care how many subs you had and stuff like that. I'm more concerned about how many teachers we put in the classrooms, because that's the only number that really matters.
Correct.
And when we made this change because, it was going to be a big improvement over what we're doing. And we talk about accountability and all these things, and I guess right now, and I realize it's early and we've got time to work through this, I'm not seeing an improvement. I'm seeing you're trying to catch up to where they were.
Yes.
Do I have the right impression, and what are we doing to try to
We're
change
continuously
that?
recruiting to get more substitutes, and we actually have 2 recruiting events this month and 2 next month. So we're continuously recruiting so that we can get more substitutes.
But at the end of the day, am I correct in my impression that I don't want to use the uproar, but the dissatisfaction with ESS, what we heard about time and time and time again, and we took it away from ESS, we're doing it ourselves. Now, maybe we're saving a little money, I don't know that, but we took it in ourselves, but we still aren't doing any better than what ESS was doing.
But Mr. Goday, this is what we plan to do. We're going to send out some type of survey to our administrators, because I'm not hearing the noise that I heard last year. Because with the site-based subs that we're actually sending out to the schools, they're able to utilize those subs in the manner that they see fit. So I don't know if you all are hearing the noise, but I'm not hearing it on my end, so.
Well,
I mean,
I
and
also
maybe
know-
so, but
no,
we're
no,
gonna.
no, no, I understand. And again, I'm not attacking. I'm just trying to understand.
We're looking at fill rates.
One of my favorite commenters over here, he said, we trust in God, but everyone else give me data.
Yes.
And what I'd like to understand is the data. Are we really doing better than we did? Because you might not be hearing comments because the principals have a free hand that they now have. And some of the loud squeaky noises were people who wanted to bring back people under our control where we paid them instead of being employees of others.
Yes.
And now that that's happening, they don't have a problem, but we still haven't done any better for the kids.
Yes.
So I'm focused on how are we doing with the kids and how are we filling in the classrooms. And the amount of noise, one way or the other, can be controlled by who wants to scream. But I'm really more interested is how are we doing for the kids.
Okay. And we will provide monthly updates for you.
That would be fantastic. And again, I'm not, trust me,
We're good.
I'm asking discussion
So
questions.
we're good.
Okay.
Monthly, we will provide updates for you.
Okay.
Okay? Any other questions?
Thank you.
I think I have one more, just along those same lines. I think to Mr. Go's point, what we're interested in all along is deciding before we get into things, what's the right metric to measure whether we're being successful with how we utilize substitutes and whether we're fulfilling the needs of the district and the students. And so in addition to the monthly updates, what I'd like to see, which we, if we read all the monthly updates we've asked for over since the 2 years I've been here, we'd be reading 40 hours a week just on that. But I think what we'd like to see in particular is what are the metrics that you think should be used to evaluate whether we have a successful substitute policy, whether the decisions we're making regarding substitutes are working or not. What are those metrics? I don't know. I'm not the expert. You are. So quarterly reports would probably be better. But before we start getting the quarterly report, saying these are the goal, these are the metrics we want to use to evaluate whether we're being successful, and then we get a report that says, hey, are we meeting that? Are we off target? Are we moving in the right direction?
Yes, sir.
And with your permission, may I?
Please.
And I agree 100%. Quarterly would be great and work out what.
Oh, okay.
What? I asked his permission.
I think I have a little discretion. So there's nobody in the queue.
I'm just saying. I just, quarterly would be great. That's fine. I also want to compliment the fact that having a site-based substitute, I think is a wonderful idea, and I think it's something we should have done a long time ago in doing that, so I totally applaud that.
Thank you,
Because
Mr.
having a
Gaudet.
site-based person, they know the kids, they know the process, they know
Yes.
the routine, so I totally applaud that. I just didn't want to come off as being negative.
You didn't,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Gaudet.
Mr. Gaudet. Is there any further comment from members of the board on this item? All right, hearing none.
And I'd like to say this is the first time the subs have been back in 3 years.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get back into the swing of things with
Huzzah.
subs. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. All right, that concludes item E1. We'll now move to item F1, announcement of meetings. There will be a board workshop on November 11th, 2024 from 4 to 6 p.m. in the IRC next door. There will be a regular meeting to be held on November 21st, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the central office boardroom. And there will be a committee of the whole meeting to be held on December 5th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the central office boardroom.
I have a
And-
meeting.
Yes, Ms. Suley?
I have a meeting. Can we share?
Okay, please, yes.
We're having a community listening session with board members Mike Gaudet and myself on November 19th from 5:30 to 7 at Glasgow Middle School. So anyone that would like to come, Tuesday 19th, we encourage you to bring your questions and insights regarding your school and community. 5:30 to 7 at Glasgow Middle.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gaudet?
I move we adjourn.
All right, thank you.
We are adjourned.